There comes a moment in every relationship when someone pulls away, and in that moment, your response will determine not just the course of that connection, but the depth of your own power, your self-worth, and the life you are destined to live. Imagine for a moment the quiet power that exists in stillness, the kind of power that does not shout, does not demand attention, and does not plead for recognition. It is subtle, yet infinitely more compelling than any noise, any chase, or any desperate attempt to capture someone's gaze. When a man pulls away, it is natural for the mind to race, for the heart to ache, for fear to whisper that you are losing something precious. And yet, it is precisely in this moment that the greatest growth, the deepest empowerment, and the most magnetic energy can be found. You see, when you respond with frantic messages, over-explanations, or pleading attempts to regain his focus, you are, in essence, giving away your power. You are surrendering your own inner authority to the fluctuations of another person's attention. But when you pause, when you choose silence, you do not withdraw because you are weak. You withdraw because you are strong enough to honor your own value. There is a profound lesson in this silence, a lesson that reaches beyond the immediate dynamics of attraction and into the very core of self-awareness. Your worth is not measured by someone else's willingness to engage with you. It is measured by your own recognition of your intrinsic value. When you refuse to chase, when you allow the space of non-response, you communicate something far more powerful than words ever could. You communicate that your life is abundant, that your happiness is not contingent upon another's presence, and that your energy is sacred. This is not a game of manipulation. It is a demonstration of self-respect. The universe, in its infinite wisdom, responds to clarity and confidence, and your energy will naturally attract those who are aligned with it. In this silence, you cultivate an inner life that is rich, fulfilling, and independent. You do not become defined by the absence of his attention. This energy is transformative, not only for the dynamic between you and the man who pulled away, but for your entire experience of relationships and self-perception. It reshapes the way you attract, the way you connect, and the way you allow others to enter your life. Ultimately, ignoring a man who has pulled away is a declaration. It is a statement that you will not compromise your peace, your integrity, or your sense of self for the sake of someone else's attention. It is a practice of empowerment, a cultivation of presence, and an affirmation that your value is inherent, not conditional. By embracing this silence, you step into a realm of magnetic energy where your worth is unquestionable, your confidence undeniable, and your life vibrant with purpose. You demonstrate, without saying a word, that the true measure of power in relationships is not in pursuit but in self-possession, not in dependence but in authenticity, not in reaction but in conscious presence. In this quiet, in this pause, you are not simply ignoring a man, you are honoring yourself. You are cultivating the deepest form of respect for yourself and for the life you are building. And in this honor, in this unwavering acknowledgement of your own worth, you awaken a power so compelling that it transcends need, transcends fear, and transcends the limitations of circumstance. Here lies the magic. When you place yourself first, when you nurture your own value, the world and the people who are truly meant to be part of it cannot help but be drawn to the light that radiates from your self-possession. There is an almost mystical quality to absence, a force that operates quietly yet with immense influence. When a man pulls away, it is natural to focus on his actions, his distance, and the anxiety that may arise in your mind. But there is a deeper layer to consider, the psychology of absence, the subtle dynamics that unfold when space is created between two people. Absence is not emptiness, nor is it a void to be feared. It is a powerful catalyst for reflection, desire, and self-awareness, a silent teacher that can transform both your perspective and the relationship itself. But when you withdraw gracefully, when your attention is no longer easily captured, a shift occurs. He begins to notice the qualities that drew him to you in the first place, the strength, the independence, the vibrancy, that cannot be taken for granted. Absence awakens awareness. It forces a confrontation with one's own feelings and actions, and it cultivates a desire that is not rooted in neediness, but in appreciation. This is also a moment for self-reflection. While he navigates his own responses to your absence, you too are presented with an opportunity to examine the nature of attachment, expectation, and desire. How often have we measured our worth through another person's engagement or felt incomplete when attention was withheld? By creating space, you break the pattern of external validation and begin to cultivate internal grounding. You observe your feelings without judgment, you honor your own boundaries, and you allow your energy to operate independently of his choices. This internal clarity is magnetic. It signals not only self-respect, but also emotional maturity, qualities that are deeply attractive and fundamentally transformative in any relationship. The subtlety of absence is that it teaches without words and it transforms without force. By stepping back, you are not pushing him away. You are offering the conditions under which he may recognize the depth of his own feelings and intentions. It is a delicate balance, requiring patience, discernment, and the courage to remain centered. Many people confuse silence with indifference, but the truth is that absence, when wielded consciously, is an act of presence, a presence that honors both your own energy and the potential for authentic connection to emerge naturally. Absence also allows for the recalibration of emotional energy. When someone pulls away, it often triggers a cascade of emotions, confusion, doubt, fear, or even anger. Responding impulsively feeds these energies, creating patterns of tension and conflict. By embracing the psychology of absence, you disrupt these reactive cycles. You create space for both parties to process emotions, for clarity to arise, and for the natural rhythm of desire and connection to find balance. What may initially feel like a loss or a challenge is, in reality, a profound opportunity for transformation and growth. There is an alchemy at work in this dynamic. As you maintain your own composure and allow the space to exist, you are engaging with the forces of attraction in their purest form. Desire is rekindled not through effort, persuasion, or insistence, but through presence, confidence, and the quiet acknowledgement that your life is abundant with meaning, regardless of another person's choices. This energy is magnetic precisely because it is authentic. It does not seek to manipulate or coerce, but simply to honor the truth of your own existence and the natural unfolding of human connection. It is also essential to recognize that absence is not about withdrawal out of spite or resentment. True absence is conscious, deliberate, and grounded in integrity. It is the act of stepping into your own life fully, living with purpose, and cultivating joy independently of external validation. Rather, you become defined by your own pursuit of growth, joy, and purpose. You fill your days with experiences that nourish your mind, body, and spirit. You invest in friendships, passions, and projects that remind you of the beauty and depth of your own existence. The more you immerse yourself in your own life, the more magnetic you become, not because you are seeking validation, but because your energy emanates confidence, contentment, and authenticity. This is a presence that cannot be ignored, a power that cannot be diminished, and a value that cannot be devalued by anyone else's actions. When you choose silence in response to a man pulling away, you also give him the space to reflect on his own feelings and actions. Many people pull back not because they are certain, but because they are confused, insecure, or overwhelmed by their own emotions. Your retreat does not push him away. Rather, it allows the natural rhythm of human desire and attraction to recalibrate. In his absence, he may begin to notice what is missing, to feel the subtle tension of loss, and to recognize the qualities in you that he may have taken for granted. Your silence becomes a mirror, reflecting back to him not only his own behavior, but the reality that your presence is not something to be taken lightly. This is also a time to examine the nature of attachment and dependence. Many hearts fall into the trap of tying self-worth to the attention of another, measuring love through responsiveness and proximity. But true empowerment lies in understanding that love, attention, and affection are gifts, not obligations. when you hold your energy with integrity, when you honor your own boundaries and refuse to compromise your dignity, you cultivate a sense of freedom and self-possession that cannot be shaken by someone else's choices. You create an inner sanctuary where your confidence, serenity, and joy reside independently of external circumstances. It is important to recognize that this silence is not passive. It is an active, conscious, and deliberate expression of self-value. It is the understanding that your energy is sacred and that you do not need to prove yourself to anyone. Each moment you remain grounded, centered, and engaged in your own life reinforces the message that you are whole, complete, and worthy. The moment you step back deliberately and consciously, you create a field of energy where growth, clarity, and attraction are nurtured. When someone distances themselves, the instinct to chase is almost automatic. The mind says, if I pursue, I can fix it. If I respond immediately, I can reassure him. Yet, in the realm of human psychology, desire is often magnified by distance, and clarity is most often born in the quiet. By giving him space, you allow him to encounter the consequences of his actions, to experience the subtle tension of your absence, and to recognize the value of what he may have taken for granted. In that space, he is confronted not with anger or resentment, but with curiosity, reflection, and perhaps even a renewed appreciation for your presence in his life. Absence operates on a principle that is both simple and profound. Humans tend to desire what feels slightly out of reach. When you are immediately available, predictably responsive, and ever present, the energy of mystery diminishes. There is no tension, no spark, no challenge to provoke interest. By doing so, you model the kind of energy that attracts not only the right partner, but also the right circumstances. In this sense, absence is not passive. It is a forceful, active declaration of self-respect and alignment. Ultimately, the psychology of absence teaches a profound truth, that love, attraction, and connection flourish most powerfully when they are allowed the space to breathe, to reflect, and to evolve. By honoring the rhythm of presence and absence, by embracing the quiet power of your own energy, you create conditions in which genuine desire, admiration, and appreciation can emerge organically. The man who pulled away is confronted not with pressure or pleading, but with the subtle, undeniable truth of your value, your independence, and your radiant energy. In this dynamic, absence becomes a teacher, a catalyst, and a source of transformation, an elegant force that honors both the individual and the connection between two hearts. It is remarkable how easily the human heart can slip into patterns of chasing, seeking, and trying to repair what feels broken or distant. When a man pulls away, it is instinctual to respond, to reach out, to try to regain the connection that seems to be slipping through your fingers. The mind races with questions. Why is he distant? Did I do something wrong? How can I get him to come back? This cycle of chasing is one of the most common traps in relationships, yet it is also one of the most subtle and destructive. Chasing creates an imbalance of energy, placing your power and your peace in the hands of someone else. It diminishes your sense of self and replaces it with anxiety, overanalysis, and the constant need for external reassurance. Learning to break this cycle is not simply a strategy. It is a profound transformation of the heart, the mind, and the energy you bring into every interaction. Breaking the cycle of chasing begins with awareness, recognizing that your instinct to pursue is not a reflection of weakness, but a habitual response is crucial. Many people equate attention with love, distance with rejection, and presence with validation. These assumptions, however, do not reflect the true nature of attraction, connection, or respect. Chasing, in its essence, signals neediness and a lack of grounded self-confidence. It communicates that your happiness, stability, and value are contingent upon another person's behavior. When you become aware of this, you can begin to choose differently. You can choose to step back, to pause, and to honor your own energy rather than surrendering it to the fluctuations of someone else's attention. The act of stopping the chase is a deliberate, conscious choice. It requires courage because it challenges deeply ingrained patterns and fears. The heart wants certainty, wants security, wants the reassurance that all is well. But true growth, true empowerment comes when you allow uncertainty to exist without panic, when you resist the urge to control, and when you remain centered in your own life. By doing this, you do not abandon the connection, you elevate it. You send the message that your energy is sacred, that your boundaries are non-negotiable, and that your presence cannot be taken for granted. Breaking the chase also transforms the dynamics of attraction. When someone pulls away and you respond with pursuit, it creates a push and pull pattern that drains emotional energy and erodes respect. The dynamic becomes predictable and exhausting. But when you step back and allow space, a shift occurs. The energy that once depended on chasing becomes magnetic. Independence, self-possession, and emotional composure are profoundly attractive qualities. The man who pulled away begins to notice not just your absence, but the fullness of your presence, the completeness of your life, and the magnetic energy that comes from self-reliance. Attraction, at its core, thrives on respect, mystery, and the subtle tension that emerges when two independent energies meet. It is equally important to understand that breaking the chase is not about detachment or indifference. It is about alignment with your own values, priorities, and emotional well-being. It is about refusing to compromise your dignity in the pursuit of another's attention. When you stop chasing, you shift from seeking validation externally to cultivating confidence internally. You are no longer at the mercy of someone else's mood, interest, or availability. Instead, you become a steady presence, grounded in your own worth, radiating a calm yet undeniable energy that naturally draws others toward you. Breaking this cycle also allows for deeper self-discovery. The moments when we feel compelled to chase are opportunities to examine our fears, insecurities, and patterns of attachment. Why do we equate attention with love? Why do we fear silence, distance, or uncertainty? By observing these impulses without judgment, by exploring the emotions that arise, and by choosing consciously not to act on them impulsively, we cultivate emotional intelligence and resilience. This self-awareness becomes a cornerstone of empowerment. It teaches that true connection is not built on desperation or need, but on authenticity, respect, and mutual alignment. As you practice the art of stepping back, you will notice a profound shift not only in your relationships, but in your entire approach to life. You begin to see that your energy is your most precious resource, that your peace is your most valuable possession, and that the quality of your connections depends on the integrity with which you hold yourself. Each moment you resist the urge to chase reinforces the message that you are not defined by another person's choices or attention. You are defined by your own presence, your own values, and your unwavering commitment to yourself. Ultimately, breaking the cycle of chasing is a reclamation of power. It is a declaration that you will not compromise your worth for temporary reassurance or fleeting attention. It is the conscious decision to honor your energy, protect your heart, and cultivate relationships that reflect mutual respect and alignment. When you step back and stop chasing, you create space for the right dynamics to emerge, for desire to be rekindled naturally, and for genuine connection to flourish. This is not manipulation or strategy. It is the embodiment of self-possession, the quiet strength that commands respect, and the magnetic energy that draws people toward authenticity, not neediness. By embracing this shift, you transform not only the way others perceive you, but also the way you perceive yourself. You learn that your value is inherent, your presence is powerful, and your life is abundant with purpose and meaning. The man who pulled away is faced with not only the reality of your absence, but the undeniable force of your presence. A presence that is confident, whole, and unconquerable. In breaking the cycle of chasing, you do not simply change the relationship dynamic, you change the trajectory of your own life, stepping fully into the energy of empowerment, independence, and authentic attraction. Attraction is a living, breathing energy that ebbs and flows, responding to subtle cues, unspoken signals, and the essence of presence that each person carries. It is not a static thing, nor is it dictated solely by words or actions. It is an energy, an alchemy that exists in the interplay between two independent souls. When a man pulls away, Many feel a sense of panic or urgency to reclaim his attention, to reignite the connection through explanations, persuasion, or emotional display. Yet there is a subtler, far more potent force at play. The shift in attraction that occurs when you refuse to chase, when you hold your ground, and when you honor the integrity of your own energy. Ignoring a man who has pulled away is not a punishment or a manipulation. It is a quiet, magnetic recalibration that transforms the way he perceives you and the dynamic between you. The first layer of this shift is rooted in perception. When you respond to distance with need, desperation, or over-communication, you communicate dependency. Your value becomes entangled with his attention, and the mystery, the natural spark, begins to fade. But when you step back, you change the story entirely. You begin to occupy a space of independence and self-possession. And this transformation is immediately perceptible. Suddenly, the qualities that may have seemed ordinary, your confidence, your composure, your vibrancy, become extraordinary in their absence. The man who pulled away begins to see you not as an available, predictable presence, but as someone whose life, energy, and attention are not to be taken lightly. Mystery is restored, and with mystery comes renewed curiosity and desire. Attraction is often fueled by contrast, the dance between presence and absence, interest and restraint, pursuit and independence. When a man pulls away, the energy in the connection temporarily shifts. If you were to chase him relentlessly, the balance tilts toward predictability, diminishing the very spark that initially drew him to you. But by maintaining your boundaries and choosing not to engage immediately, you create a subtle tension, an energetic imbalance that naturally draws him back in. He begins to reflect on what he has lost, to feel the subtle gravity of your absence, and to appreciate the fullness of your presence in a way that cannot be manufactured through words alone. This shift also encourages introspection on his part. Many people pull away not because of a lack of interest, but because they are uncertain, emotionally overwhelmed, or unaccustomed to genuine independence in a partner. When you step back, you allow him the space to confront his own feelings, to navigate his own emotional landscape, and to recognize the qualities in you that he may have taken for granted. The shift in attraction is not about coercion. It is about creating conditions in which desire and appreciation can arise naturally, without pressure or manipulation. Your independence becomes a mirror, reflecting the value of your presence and the consequences of distance in a way that words could never accomplish. It is also crucial to understand that this transformation in attraction is not immediate. It is subtle, cumulative, and deeply rooted in energy. Each moment you remain centered, engaged in your own life, and committed to your own sense of self-worth reinforces the magnetic qualities that he notices. You are no longer defined by his attention. You are defined by your own vitality, authenticity, and composure. The longer you sustain this grounded energy, the more profound the shift becomes. Over time, his perception changes from seeing you as someone always available to recognizing you as someone remarkable, independent, and unwavering in her self-possession. This shift has a ripple effect beyond the immediate dynamics of the relationship. When you embody independence and authenticity, you attract people and experiences that align with these qualities. Attraction, in its truest form, is drawn to energy that is whole, confident, and alive. By refusing to chase, you are not only shifting his attraction, but also tuning the frequency of your life to one that invites respect, admiration, and genuine connection. The man who truly belongs in your life will respond not to pressure or pursuit, but to the quiet, radiant power of your presence. The subtle shift in attraction also reinforces your own self-respect. It is easy to forget in moments of emotional turbulence that your energy is your most valuable asset. When you step back, you reclaim that energy, refusing to allow it to be depleted by neediness, fear, or attempts to control someone else's feelings. You are no longer reacting, you are creating. You are no longer chasing, you are inviting. The magnetic shift occurs because you have aligned with the principle that your worth is inherent and your presence is powerful, independent of anyone else's choices. Finally, this shift reminds us that true attraction is never about control, coercion, or strategy. It is about alignment, authenticity, and the energy that flows naturally between two people. When a man pulls away and you respond with self-possession rather than pursuit, you are not playing a game. You are living in truth. You are honoring your own life, your own rhythm, and your own boundaries. And in doing so, you become magnetic in the most profound sense. The attraction that emerges is deep, enduring, and rooted in mutual respect and genuine admiration, not fleeting attention or momentary validation. In essence, the subtle shift in attraction is a reminder that power in relationships is not measured by how much you give or how hard you chase, but by how fully you honor yourself. Ignoring a man who pulled away is not a withdrawal of love or interest. It is an expression of self-respect, a recalibration of energy, and an invitation for authentic desire to flourish. In stepping back, you do not diminish your presence, you magnify it. You do not create distance as a tactic. You create space as an act of empowerment. And in this energy, the shift is undeniable. Attraction becomes magnetic, connection becomes profound, and your own sense of worth becomes unshakable. Rejection is one of the most potent teachers in life, and yet when someone pulls away, it often feels like a personal indictment, a reflection of inadequacy, or a challenge to our self-worth. The moment a man distances himself, the mind rushes to interpret the withdrawal, spinning narratives of failure, loss, or unworthiness. But what if we reframed this experience entirely? What if, instead of viewing his pullback as a rejection, we saw it as an invitation, an opportunity to grow, to strengthen boundaries, and to align more fully with our true selves? When you transform the experience of perceived rejection into a platform for personal empowerment, you not only change the dynamic with him, but also elevate your life and your understanding of love. When someone pulls away, the initial response is often emotional, hurt, confusion, fear. These feelings are natural and should not be suppressed. They are signals that something in the dynamic needs attention or reflection. Yet, instead of reacting impulsively through messages, apologies, or efforts to reclaim attention, you have the choice to pause and observe. By creating space between stimulus and reaction, you allow yourself to respond with consciousness rather than habit. This pause is not avoidance. It is the cultivation of clarity. In these moments of stillness, you can ask yourself, what does this dynamic reveal about my own patterns of attachment? How can I honor my boundaries while remaining compassionate? What does my energy deserve? The power of transforming rejection into opportunity lies in perspective. Pulling away is not necessarily a reflection of your inadequacy, but often a reflection of the other person's readiness, clarity, or emotional capacity. By stepping back, you give yourself the chance to reassess the relationship from a neutral standpoint. You are no longer operating from fear or neediness. You are operating from discernment. This is crucial because relationships that are grounded in mutual alignment and respect are far more sustainable and fulfilling than those built on chase, manipulation, or dependency. When you choose to step back instead of reacting impulsively, you create a scenario where both parties can see each other with fresh eyes, without the cloud of anxiety or desperation. This moment of withdrawal is also a profound opportunity for boundary setting. Many people struggle to maintain boundaries when emotions are high, often bending or compromising in the hope of preserving a connection. But boundaries are the foundation of self-respect and emotional health. By holding your ground, by refusing to chase or over-explain, you reinforce your own value and communicate clearly that your energy cannot be disrespected or taken for granted. These boundaries are not walls, they are markers of self-possession. They allow both parties to engage more authentically because interactions are no longer governed by fear, insecurity, or compulsion. Instead, they are guided by mutual respect and conscious choice. Transforming rejection into opportunity also encourages self-growth. When a man pulls away, it is a prompt to redirect energy inward rather than outward. What are the areas of your life that need attention, nurturing, or expansion? How can you strengthen your emotional resilience, deepen your passions, and cultivate joy independently of external validation? By focusing on self-improvement, creativity, and purpose, you transform the energy of disappointment into something fertile, constructive, and transformative. In doing so, you not only improve your own life, but also naturally elevate the quality of the relationships you attract. The person who is aligned with your energy will be drawn to the strength, independence, and fulfillment that radiates from your life. There is also a profound spiritual lesson embedded in this process. Life often presents us with experiences that challenge our ego, that push us to confront attachment, desire, and expectation. When a man pulls away, it can feel like a loss, but it is also an invitation to recognize the impermanence of outcomes and the constancy of your own inner value. Rejection is not a verdict. It is a mirror reflecting areas where growth, patience, and self-awareness are required. By embracing this lesson, you begin to approach relationships with a sense of equanimity, understanding that your worth is inherent and that love is a reciprocal, conscious choice rather than a transaction or a guarantee. In practical terms, transforming rejection into opportunity manifests in daily choices. It means choosing not to text immediately, not to overanalyze, and not to create scenarios of emotional dependency. It means investing in your own life, hobbies, friendships, and passions. It means strengthening your mental, emotional, and spiritual resilience so that your energy is grounded, abundant, and magnetic. Each time you practice this, you reinforce the internal truth that your happiness is self-generated and that no external withdrawal can diminish it. This internal power is compelling. It is the force that naturally draws people toward authenticity, respect, and admiration. Furthermore, this transformation impacts the dynamic between you and the man who pulled away. As he observes your composure, your self-possession, and your ability to thrive independently, he begins to perceive the depth of your value. Desire is rekindled not through pressure, persuasion, or effort, but through the undeniable energy of someone who is whole, confident, and unshakable. The pull that initially created uncertainty now catalyzes clarity, attraction, and renewed interest. In essence, what may have seemed like rejection becomes a doorway for greater connection, founded not on desperation, but on mutual recognition of worth and authenticity. Ultimately, transforming rejection into opportunity is a practice of empowerment. It is the conscious decision to honor your energy, strengthen your boundaries, and invest in your own growth, regardless of someone else's actions. It teaches resilience, patience, and emotional intelligence, and it aligns your life with the principle that true connection is a reflection of self-respect and authenticity. When you embrace this perspective, the man who pulled away is no longer a source of anxiety or confusion. He becomes a participant in a dynamic shaped by integrity, presence, and conscious choice, where attraction, respect, and alignment naturally flourish. By converting rejection into opportunity, you step fully into your power, transforming loss into growth, distance into clarity, and uncertainty into self-possession. Authenticity is the foundation upon which all meaningful relationships are built, and it is the energy that resonates most deeply with those who are aligned with us. When a man pulls away, it can be tempting to bend, to perform, to try to regain his attention through strategies or behaviors that are not fully aligned with your true self. Yet the most profound power in this situation lies not in manipulation or pursuit, but in unwavering alignment with your own values, energy, and boundaries. Ignoring a man who has pulled away is not an act of game playing. It is a declaration of authenticity, a commitment to living in accordance with your inner truth, and a demonstration that your self-respect is non-negotiable. In this alignment, you do not chase or plead. You radiate a presence so compelling that it draws the right people naturally without effort or compromise. The essence of this practice is understanding that your energy is sacred and that it cannot be surrendered lightly. When you respond to distance with calmness, patience, and intentional absence, you are not withdrawing from love or connection. You are honoring your own rhythm. your own boundaries, and the integrity of your emotional space, this act of self-possession is magnetic. It signals to the man who pulled away that you are not defined by his attention, that your value is inherent, and that your life continues to flourish independently of his choices. This is a form of attraction that cannot be forced or faked. It emerges naturally from the alignment between your inner world and your external presence. Living in authenticity also means resisting the temptation to speculate endlessly about his motivations or to create narratives based on fear or insecurity. When a man distances himself, it is easy to fall into the trap of imagining worst-case scenarios, projecting assumptions, or trying to decode every nuance of his behavior. Yet such speculation is not productive. It diminishes your energy and distances you from your own sense of power. Instead, by maintaining your authenticity, you focus on what you know to be true about yourself, your worth, your boundaries, and the values that guide your life. You respond not to fear, but to clarity, not to chaos, but to the steady rhythm of your own energy. This alignment is what transforms uncertainty into strength and distance into an opportunity for magnetic attraction. Boundaries are a central element of authenticity. They are not walls to keep people out, but clear markers of where your energy begins and ends. When a man pulls away and you honor your boundaries by refraining from chasing or over-communicating, you create a space where both parties can interact from a place of integrity rather than need. Boundaries are the natural manifestation of self-respect. They communicate that your presence is not a commodity, that your energy is not negotiable, and that your emotional life is anchored in self-possession. By holding these boundaries consistently, you cultivate an energy that is both powerful and irresistible, the kind of energy that draws the right people while repelling dynamics that are misaligned. Another critical aspect of this alignment is the cultivation of self-awareness. Ignoring someone who has pulled away is not merely an external action, it is an internal practice of observing your own reactions, emotions, and impulses. You notice the fear that may arise, the desire to reach out, the impatience for resolution, and you choose to respond with conscious presence rather than habitual reaction. This self-awareness deepens your emotional intelligence and allows you to navigate relationships from a place of strength, clarity, and authenticity. In doing so, you model the kind of energy that invites respect, admiration, and genuine connection rather than fleeting attention or temporary compliance. The principle of alignment also transforms the dynamic between you and the man who pulled away. Attraction is not sustained by pressure, persuasion, or emotional turbulence. It is sustained by the quiet confidence of someone who is fully themselves. When you hold your authenticity, you communicate implicitly that your life, your joy, and your energy are not contingent upon his engagement. This shift forces a recalibration in his perception. Instead of seeing you as someone to chase or manipulate, he begins to perceive you as someone whose presence is valuable, whose attention is earned, and whose energy is magnetic in its wholeness. The attraction that emerges from this alignment is deeper, more lasting, and rooted in genuine admiration rather than superficial pursuit. Furthermore, alignment and authenticity create clarity about the nature of the connection itself. By refusing to compromise your values or chase attention, you filter the relationship through the lens of integrity. This allows both parties to see each other honestly, without the distortions of fear, neediness, or ego. If he returns, it is because he is genuinely aligned with your energy and your boundaries, not because he was coerced or manipulated. If he does not return, it is a reflection of incompatibility rather than failure, allowing you to preserve your self-respect and redirect your energy toward opportunities that honor your authentic life. Ultimately, ignoring a man who pulled away is a practice of profound self-alignment. It is the conscious choice to honor your energy, maintain your boundaries, and live fully in your own truth. It teaches patience, cultivates resilience, and amplifies the magnetic qualities that make you irresistible, not through effort, but through presence. In this space, attraction is not forced, it flows naturally. Connection is not dependent, it is mutual. Love, respect, and admiration emerge not from chasing, pleading, or sacrificing your integrity, but from the undeniable power of someone who is fully aligned with themselves. When you live in authenticity, every action you take, every boundary you hold, and every moment of conscious silence becomes a statement of empowerment. It says without words that you are whole, that you are worthy, and that your energy is sacred. And in this space, the man who pulled away is confronted not with manipulation or strategy, but with the radiance of a person who is fully present, fully aligned, and fully themselves. This is the ultimate lesson. True attraction, deep connection, and lasting respect are born not from games or pursuit, but from the unwavering practice of authenticity, alignment, and self-possession.